Hello again. In this video I'll demonstrate a little bit how you can make manual changes to functions. So we'll look at a function. So in this case I'm showing the simple granodiorite here, but there's only a few samples here. So what we're gonna do today is see how we can manipulate this shape a little bit by manually adding control lines to the function itself. So the focus is not to really create something very realistic, but just to show you how you can manipulate the shapes that you're getting out of your classification functions. So in this case I've set up the workflow and the processing where I'm just converting the geology data. So look at the other videos where we demonstrate a little bit more how we do that. So here I was just set up a workflow where we take the granodiorite here, granodiorite, and we convert it to indicator points, and then we use a classification function as we've demonstrated before in geological modeling. So what we can do is actually draw polylines and things in GEOREKA as well. So I'll give this a name, so I'll call this controls here. So it brings up our general drawing dialog. For those not familiar with it, we've got different ways of drawing polylines and using polylines. I won't go into that today. The only thing I want to focus on now is to actually draw indicators, because that's what we're using in the workflow as well. We actually convert our geological unit into indicator values. So here I also want to add additional indicators. So we draw on the section plane here. I've set up a section plane just facing north. I could rotate it around a little bit if I wanted to. Well, let's see. I can take on the section control to actually show the outline a little bit more of the function itself. And let's start by drawing an indicator. So on the section plane is semi-transparent plane that's positioned there, which is actually just the section plane that you can play with in the bottom left corner to position it more carefully. But we can draw on that. So if I left click and drag, I get these control lines. So you can see a red and a blue dot when I do that, which indicate the positive and the negative side for our indicator function later on. So if I let go of this, you can see a line with 3 points there. And now I'll save this one. So you see there's a controls item now, and that has this single line here. So on the processing, we can actually go and add this control line into it. But this control line is just a line at this stage. So what we need to do as well is convert these polylines into indicators as well. So we connect these up, and what we can then do, now they've been converted to indicator points, we can actually use them in our classification just like any other indicator point. So I'll double click on this one here, and here you have different options to actually set the lines that we've been drawing as inside points. So then you get all positive values, outside points you get all negative values, or in this case what we want to do is draw boundary points. So the line that we've drawn will be sampled at a certain interval length, by default at every meter, and that's what we want to use. So we click OK, and we run this one. We go back to our 3D view, and you can see that now the shape has been altered. So roughly in the middle of this line, so it should be the positive points, negative points, and you can see that our shape is now trying to honor this point. So these lines, these indicator lines, are perpendicular to the boundary that you're modeling. So you actually draw inside points and outside points for the domain that you want to model. So similarly, if you want to have a bit more control here and say, well, I actually want to make it go inside a bit more here. We save this, and then here's another button to rerun the workflow. Let's do that. There we go, and you can see that the shape is updating. So just remember, these indicator lines need to be perpendicular to the shape that you want to do. So what we can do now as well is to actually constrain it even more and go in the proper direction. Yeah, this direction, that's fine. Okay, so what we want to do is maybe constrain it here a bit more, and save this one and press OK. There we go. And we'll add a bit more control on this side. There we go. So we can create a slightly more elongated shape away. And then we can just go and add any controls that we want to do there. So this way we can actually merge multiple data sets to create this shape. So if we wanted to create a region, for example, down here, we don't want to have this bulge here at all. We can close this one. And now what I'll do is I'll create some outside points here on the same plane, so I could move the plane, but I'll leave it as is. So I'll leave this at indicators. But I'll want to have sorry, actually I don't want to have indicators here. Let me actually set this to maybe just freehand. So in this case, if I click and drag, I create multiple points there. So I've got multiple lines and points there. I'll save this one here. Sorry, on the processing, and then create another path, converting these ones as well. So now I've got my old outside points, and the outside points should be merged with the other ones. But double clicking on convert this polylines, instead of boundaries, I want to have this as outside points. So same sampling interval, 1 meter. Let me go back to the 3D tab and press the button there so you can see what happens. So now you can see that the shape is trying to go around these outside points that I've just drawn. So that way you can start controlling things. So you can also add additional inside points and say, okay, these points need to be on it. And I can control the shape with some manual edits that way. So this allows you to combine existing measured data, so in this case our drilling data, with any manual edit. So in case where you don't have enough data, you can manipulate your functions that way before you create your actual models. Alright, I hope this has been insightful. Any questions, just reach out to us.